Dr. Olaifa, welcome.
Yeah, I lost internet. I was going to say that if we can reduce our own commentary to roughly 7 minutes each, so that we can really hear. I mean, we can really engage BOI.
Yes. So
that's in order.
Yes.
I mean, the less some of us who really don't have too much to contribute speak, the more the
somebody's
principal,
Anybody there?
Please, if we're not speaking, let's mute our mics. Yes, we're here. Doc, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. I was wondering how long the whole episode will take.
It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours because we'll speak, engage with BOI, and there will be.
Okay. Okay, that's all right.
Okay. So it's 1 o'clock, and I think we Okay, we're having a lag, some feedback that is coming. Please, could we mute our mics? All right. So I'd like to welcome you to this conversation on the book Tenants of the House, which is a movie called Tenant of the House. My name is Odo Diego Kenyodo. I have been involved so can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. Because I'm hearing a lag in the audio, and I just don't understand why that is happening. Okay, so the issue of conflict resolution and issue of love across barriers are the issues that we are going to encounter a lot in the Tenant of the House movie. And in this session, we want to engage with those who are involved in the production of this movie and the whole process of moving this movie, this story from a book form into a movie form. And we're going to have quite some interesting people with respect to theater, book production, and also movie critique, film critics here in our conversation. So I welcome you all. You will also join me in welcoming some of the panelists who are here. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tope Olaifa. Dr. Olaifa is an academic who was involved in the production of the book itself. Dr. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Okay. And then you also welcome a film critic, Mr. Toyin Akinoso, who has been very active in the literary sector, the art sector, and he's a film critic, and he's here. Please welcome Mr. Toyin Akinoso to the conversation.
Have rejected her nomination. So the committee report itself was against her nomination. And as a result of that, there's only meeting that the Senate with many.
Hello, Mr. Toyin.
Precedents we have that whenever the committee, which is
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is the first time I'm hearing myself being called. I mean, a film critic. I'm not a critical. I'm just a regular.
Okay.
I just write some whatever word that comes as.
Okay, that's fine. You are a literary activist, and we've seen a lot of your work and the things you are doing in. I'd like to also welcome Professor Mabel Everoma. Professor Mabel is very known in the literary and art and theater sector, and she's a critic, an academic, and she's going to do a lot of stuff. You know, we're going to hear a lot from her about this industry and her experience. Professor Mabel, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I also like to introduce Mrs. Uche Nwuka from the Bank of Industry. And you're going to see that Bank of Industry played a very key role from the Creative Industries Fund in the making of this movie from the book. The key figure who has been instrumental to the hand-holding and all of that is Mrs. Nwuka, and she's going to engage a lot with us in respect of this. We also should have, I don't know if the lead actor, the star of the movie, Yakub Muhammad, is already in here. But you're going to encounter Yakub Muhammad. He's a wonderful actor who has been able to take on interesting roles. This is one challenging role, and he's going to tell you about what makes this role very challenging to him. Yakub Muhammad, please, are you here? Okay, I know he's going to join us because he promised he's going to be here. He has been instrumental to a lot of awareness around the movie. As you know, the Tenant of the House movie is already in the cinemas, and it's being watched in so many cities already, and it's also on Netflix. Finally, please join me in welcoming Dr. Wale Okediran'S, who is the author of the movie and the executive producer. It's been a long road, but Dr. Okediran'S has not given up. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Please, can you move to a background sound?
Yeah, that's...
See something. See.
Okay, Dr. Okediran'S, please, you can unmute yourself and give us a little welcome before we take...
Yes, thank you, Diego. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank all our guests from all the sectors. We have writers, academicians, we have members of the film industry, ranging from actors to producers to critics, whether new critics or old critics. And we also have from all over the African continent, people are going to join us because since Tenant of the House became a movie, I've been inundated with a lot of questions on how people can do what has been done. And so many of them are going to join us. That's why we try to be specific about the time, 12 noon GMT, 1 p.m. for Nigeria, and then 3 p.m. for Kenya and East Africa. More importantly, we have a top executive of the Bank of Industry. That is the bank that provided the facility for this project. Mrs. Cynthia Uche Nwuka, who is the head of the
Amaka. Amax. Ononso.
So we believe that many people will be interested in knowing how they can also turn their books into their films, the procedure and that kind of thing. For me, it wasn't as if I sat down to make the book into a film. All I did was just to write a book. I tried to write something that my experience as a rookie politician when I joined the House of Representatives some years ago. And of course, as somebody new to that field, some of the things that happened in Abuja, some of them were interesting, some were scary, some were unbelievable. And so I kept a diary, trying to put down all my experiences. And at the end of my tenure, my friends, as usual, prompted me to put together my experience. And I said, well, I will do something like a faction that takes a mixture of facts and fiction, because the lawyers already warned me that if I dare put a factional account together, people will sue me for so many things. So I had to do a factional account of my state. And then, of course, the book was put together. And this is for my colleagues who are writers. In the process of writing the book, I made sure I did some research, asked questions, went to scenes that I wanted to depict in the book, went to a Fulani settlement, stayed some days with them to know their culture, to know everything. And then more importantly, I also gave the manuscript to some of my trusted colleagues to do the editorial work. I think one of them is here, Dr. Olaifa. Even though along the course of the editing, we had a lot of blushes because he was always correcting my grammar. And I used to tell her that, look, the book is not for academicians, it's for writers. But at the end of the day, I'm happy I listened to her because I think the book is much better than the manuscript. I must say that. And then, of course, after the book came out, it was entered for the Wale Soyinka Prize for African Literature, and it was a co-winner of the prize. And then again, another friend of mine said, look, what you have on your hand is something that you can make into a movie. And then I laughed. I said, look, we are pulling my leg. I mean, I don't know anything about that. But as luck we have it, I ran into this wonderful lady at the Bank of Industry, Ms. Nwuka, who actually, well, the story is that I went there with a friend who wanted to produce the book. But at the end of the day, Ms. Nwuka challenged me. He said, look, why can't you produce the book, the film yourself? And I said, how do you produce a film? Well, to cut long story short, we are here today. The bank gave me a facility with which I was able to produce the film. They also gave me a lot of support, technical support and that kind of thing. And unlike many banks, where if you owe them, they'll be threatening you. They've been very nice to me. They have not been. Even though I see owes of money, they've been very nice to me, no harassment. Even during the COVID pandemic and lockdown, they kept sending me email to find out that I'm how good I was, how well I was. But one of my friends who is very cynical of banks said, don't mind them, they're not interested in your help. They only want to make sure they're alive so that you can pay their debt. But by and large, it's been a very wonderful relationship with the bank. And I believe that if this kind of attitude is maintained with further young or upcoming producers, they will have more people doing what I've done. The questions about the book, well, I can answer that. The questions about the film, I can't answer it because my only duty was that of executive producer. The meaning of that big title is the person who brings the money to the table. That was my duty. Anytime there's no money, the director will call me and have to go and look for money. But as regard the technicalities, I was on the location, but I was asked to keep quiet, just to, unless I'm spoken to, because there's a difference between film production and book writing. I wrote the book, somebody did the script, and then the director directed the film. And it's only occasions when my attention was needed that I was asked to comment. Otherwise, I kept quiet throughout. So, question about the film, we directed to the director is not here. I thought Yakub Muhammad, the actor, maybe you'll soon join us. But by and large, I think it's a learning curve for all of us, writers, producers, filmmakers, just to show you, I mean, just to let you know that it's possible. Many things that you think are not possible are possible with a lot of determination and support by experts. So at this point, I'll keep quiet again, hand over to the experts, and maybe if questions come my way, I will answer. Finally, I want to thank all the panelists who decided to spare their time to make some comments here. Toyin Akinoso is there. He says it's not a film critic, but we know that it's a critic. Whether it's film or book, the critic is a critic. Tope Olaifa is there. He will tell you all the process of the editing. And then Professor Mabel, the professor of theater arts, he has seen the film. Mrs. Nwuka, the banker, will tell you, especially you investors, those who want to invest in filmmaking, maybe she will give you some ideas. And then Diego will help us to coordinate everything. Thank you. Wish you all of us a nice time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. Really, I appreciate, and we love how prolific you are in writing. I'll move straight to Ms. Nwuka to tell us from the perspective of the Bank of Industry, why did she, as a person and as a bank, as a representative of the bank, think that this project was important and could be funded? So let's hear from Ms. Nwuka. Are you there, please?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here now. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Wale, for believing in us and in me in particular. To also send a message to your friend, please let him know that we are interested in our customers' health and wealth. As a bank and as a development finance institution, what we do as soon as you come into BOI with a project, we assume a position of ownership. We own the business with you. So we offer advisory services and we also provide funding to support the business. And our advisory services will be so useful that it strengthens your business plans. Just as he rightly stated in one-line statement when he came to my office and visited with a would-be producer for the film. After our discussion, I called him and I said, you can do this on your own. We don't need a colored skin a person or producer to give us the best. We have producers that can work with you. I saw that he was a writer, a good writer, matured and ready to actually drive this project. So that was convincing. So what I needed to do as a banker was to also, and as a development finance banker, I also thought of who will support these projects within the industry. I looked at experienced hands. I looked at capable hands that can interpret the storyline. It was a good one for us because it was an adaptation of an existing story, which was also produced by Dr. Wale. And interestingly, in Bank of Industry, we have a 10-man advisory team. They review every script submitted for production. And we drew this team from professionals within the industry. They also reviewed the book and the script and made recommendations. And based on the recommendations, we were convinced that as a bank, we can support the production with funding. And that was how the journey started. We made recommendations for producers and directors, and were able to narrow it down to the director, Kunle Afolayan, who also supported greatly in the production of this film.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. What was the funding structure like? What if anyone wants to get access to this kind of funding? What do they have to do? I'm asking this because this would have been a question later, but because you have another meeting.
Yeah, I will try to be here to. Can you hear me? It's frozen. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I'll try to be here as long as possible. And if I must leave, I will send a chat to confirm. But however, as at the time we've supported supported the project, we had a special scheme for content production. And that was tagged Nolly Fund. But that 1 billion fund that was set aside to support production has been fully exhausted. What we're doing now before we increase or introduce another funding line is to study the performance of all the films we have supported in the past. However, we still have an open funding opportunity for content. Interest rate is 10%. Tenure could be up to 4 years, between 2 years and 4 years. However, we treat every application based on its peculiarity. And other conditions will be made available should you engage further with us in Bank of Industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I logged off a bit. Do you have contact you can share with us so that if anybody wants to send you an email or send you a WhatsApp, they can?
Yes, I do. Doctor will make my email available to you shortly. He has my email address and my telephone number.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, is there anyone that has any burning question before Walker leaves? I don't know how many more minutes you can grant us. Does anybody want to? Hello.
I'll be here. Yeah, I'll be here for another 30 minutes or so.
Oh, great.
So we
great,
can
great.
progress. If there's any question, I will take it on.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me quickly go to Dr. Olaifa because I want to start from where the whole story came from, which is the book. You engaged with this book from the outset. Give us some insight about the important issues that were raised by this book, Tenants of the House.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I think the central issue that was raised is the issue of conflict management, and conflict resolution. You know, it gave us an insight into how conflicts erupt, how conflicts can be managed, and how conflicts can be resolved. And you will see that the book is a topical book. It has a topical note to it, in that the farmer herder conflict is very much here with us. And this gives us an insight into the conflict as an ageless one, because it had always been there. But they had ways of managing this conflict in those days. It never erupted into violent conflict as we have it today. But in that book, we saw it became violent. There was this incessant attacks, upon the farmers and their products then. And you see, people needed to react, but they were not actually reacting. So when you read the book, you begin to think, why are these people docile or something, But then, in every conflict, you know that a party would naturally have an upper hand, and you see this happening in the book. However, this small chap that was being raised by one of the farmers, that was Sam Bakure, was determined, based on what he had, the kind of upbringing he had. Oh, I wish the interaction between Bakura's father and the children could be intensified in the film, but some things are not really permitted, because of time and everything. If you read chapters 4, 5, 6, in fact, indeed 7 of that book, you would know what actually culminated in the kind of personality that Sam had. And you would notice also that his background had actually contributed immensely to his personal resolve to reconcile farmers and herders and work peace through the two parties. Apart from the issue of conflict resolution, management, and the rest of them, you see gender issues coming out strongly. Gender issues, gender parity, and patriarchy. You see the two of them strongly highlighted in the book. Gender parity being strongly reflected in Lizzie's performance, and patriarchy in the life of Batejo. You will see that the two issues were strong, although the patriarchy side that was exemplified by Batejo was mellowed by education. The little education that she had an influence, her outlook to life. Therefore, he was even able to perform roles that her peers could not perform in the community. As the only lady who could read and write, she rose to prominence. And that was what actually brought about her interaction with Sam, and probably the love that erupted between the two of them. You will see gender parity in Lizzie, how she actually, okay, if you watched the film, at least you would have had a glimpse of her activities. You'll see that she was up to the task. She was not a woman to be pushed aside politically, even violently. Mm-hmm. So you will see that these issues, two issues that are almost contradicting themselves are actually brought to the front burners in the book. And this is one of the beauties of the book. Then we want to see political recklessness, which is a common thing here, thuggery, all these intrigues, assassination, a lot of bickerings and the rest of them. However, I still want to commend the book. Okay, let me commend the author here, who had seen it. Anyway, maybe because of his own outlook as portrayed in that book, that our parliamentarians can actually conduct their oversight functions in a respectable and neat manner. We saw them going to the field. Actually, this village, without expecting to be given things, given gifts, or being bribed for this or that. I think that is really commendable there. So the political issues raised in the book are not solely on the negative side. Yes. Now we have the issue of love that happened between Sam and Batejo. We saw that religion did not really have a place there, as the two of them were resolved in getting married and all that. That brings me to the issue of culture. Now, we know that traditionally, culturally, and in the matters of religion, you will know that Batejo and Sam shouldn't have even come together in the first place. The disparity was so much educationally and from Sam coming from a Christian background. I'm talking about a strong Christian background. And Batejo coming from a patriarchal, a strong traditional and cultural background, and also a Muslim. Can you imagine the two now coming together? It was a great feat. It was a great challenge. But the way they were able to overcome that, and actually the way the whole episode ran out at the end, gave us an insight into what they always say, that if there is love, there will always be a way. So we saw that there. Then one thing that caught my attention there is the dynamism of culture. So funny. A girl who had been betrothed to someone, since she was a baby, and was actually carrying about his radio or whatever was her symbol, the symbol of betrothal, carrying it about and all that. now jettisoning that for affluence, for glamour, for education and all that. So you see that this our culture we are talking about is a it has a very thin thread, you know, tying it. It means it could be influenced by anything. And if we look at our society now, we see that those are the mundane things that have come to corrupt our culture and tradition. Up to the point that, that book is just a reflection of what the society is today. Up to the point that that girl jettisoned her betrothed for this this stranger that just came into the village. And look again at the what do we call it? The family, the members of the family of Batejo. You would have expected a very strong objection to the relationship, but it wasn't that. If you can bring cows, 50 cows, instead of if you can pay the dowry, if you can do this, all these things, they started compromising and all that on culture. So you see that a lot that happens in the society now reflected strongly in the whole book. And I think that's where the book has its beauty. Another thing that happened there in that book was that the author realized, I think maybe was made to realize, that no matter what, if you are writing, you do not allow what happens today. You write as somebody who sees better than the people in the society. I remember there was a hot debate on getting Batejo to marry that girl would be an erosion, a stab on the culture of the Fulani. I mean, if Batejo and Sam...
Batejo to marry...
To marry Sam.
To marry Sam, yes.
Yes. That's it will be a very strong slap against the culture of the Fulani. And so the author was able to bring that, I know many people raised objection, they should have married. And my own point is that you do not give people what they want to hear. Your book is the one to tell them what they should uphold, the values that they should uphold. The values they should uphold. You cannot use money. It is not done. Don't use money to slap people. Don't use affluence to ride on people's culture or tradition just because you can do so. No. Culture, tradition must be preserved. And this was done in the book, and it was really a very strong thing that came out. Yes, I'm listening, Diego.
Okay, I since we're going to come back to you, I just wanted to, if I could take one more from Mr. Toyin Akinoso, and then we'll still come back to you, because you've made very strong points about the themes: gender, conflict resolution, patriarchy. And I wanted to know, especially on the issue of patriarchy, what Mr. Toyin Akinoso thinks about the way, for example, that the legislators put the other legislator, Lizzie, to use when they felt that they should be getting her, really to compromise other legislators by sleeping with them. What's your view on the movie, and what's your view on this issue of patriarchy as seen in the movie?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry, but how my voice is coming across. I I just sort of like ended a bout of cold. Um, I
Oh, sorry about that.
but I've taken both my jabs, so it's not COVID. My I'm excited by how the film, sort of like unspooled relative to what I thought the book did. I grew up in a Lagos at the time when the conversation was whether literature could solve political problems. Those years, I mean, I was 7 when the war broke out, and all of this whole idea of one of the most important poets of that generation going to war and being, you know, and having his life ended, and and other writers wondering whether the duty of the writer is to go to war or to write something, or whether society responds to what the visioning process of the writer is. So when I read Dr. Okediran'S book at the time that he published, I was expecting a lot. I got a lot. I mean, unlike some of the things that Dr. Olaifa said, I basically, maybe it's what you want from a book that you get from it. I was more intrigued with all of that corrupting influences going on. I was more intrigued about all that money that was passing. You asked me to talk about the patriarchy issue or the gender thing about Lizzie. So let me answer that question very quickly. Yes, all of that, narrow, mindedness of, what you might call the average Nigerian male about, the roles of women, even when they are supposed to be colleagues, played out, I mean, that senator saying, how have you been able to use your assets? You haven't delivered, that sort
Mm,
of. So, but let me quickly leave that and say what I expected. When the book now became a movie, because I did think that I was complaining in my head that, and because I'm one of those who think that you could use literature to solve political problems. And I thought that a lot of people will read Dr. Okediran's book, and that he kept quite a lot of things out, even though he
mm,
put a lot of things in. I mean, he was writing about his colleagues. I know how difficult that would be, and so all of that, you have to pay money to get legislation done, but what the film does is that because it's a visual narrative, and because you can use very few camera shots and audio to do a lot of things that pros can't do.
yeah.
I mean, the movie, in my view, was far more multi-layered than the book. It does, show a whole lot of things that Dr. Okediran was probably having in mind,
Mm,
you know, because you had an extensive narrative in prose, but you can't, put it in that visual form that can, for example, take that night that I mean, Samuel went through convincing virtually everybody in the house to vote against that particular legislation, telling them something like, we have to be so for something. There's a reason why we got elected. Those are the kind of things that I look for in art.
mm,
That is that sort of tendency for. I don't know whether people would necessarily react and say, okay, because I'm seeing this, I know how I'm going to vote in the next elections. I don't know whether people will. I've been in meetings where people, I mean, I was having this conversation with the gentleman who produced 1976, in my view, one of the best, Nigerian movies for a long time. 1976 is about all of that thing that happened in the coup. I mean,
mm,
that led to the coup of Mohammed that was killed. I mean, it's such a strong political, movie, but it doesn't solve it doesn't deal with the kind of problems that how tenants of the house does. And this is so the thing is that in terms of realism, in terms of casting, in terms of delivery, I need to get out of your faces so that other people can talk. In terms of casting,
we're enjoying the
okay,
critique because you say I'm not a critic, but now you're doing the critique.
where I'm just basically responding to what I saw. In terms of
Yeah.
what I think one of the smartest things that either BOI did or Dr. Okediran did was to have Kunle Afolayan as the director because of all of that fleshing out. This film reminds me of the kind of challenge that I had with, Rashid Bamoshi's Behold My Redeemer. When I read the slim book, I told him he had nothing in the book. But when Olarotimi directed the play, the play thing exploded in my face. So there's been a lot of work on what is the author trying to say. It's so authentic. You just imagine. All of that trip to the north. To that part of the country. Just imagine that the standard narrative today about the Fulani versus supposedly the Fulani versus the rest of them, and how and it comes across as very sensitive to what they demand, because that was something that he spoke on in the book, that these guys, these are people who also have emotions. They are very emotionally attached to, some of the things that we are saying are against our own cultural ethos. So there's a lot of, that realism, that the quality of delivery, the cinematography, everywhere lights up. Imagine that evening, that night, when the Senate, the House of Reps, Samuel Bekara, the Honorable, is in this village and is engaging with these young people, and every one of them is around him. Just imagine that somebody who wants to run for election sees that and says, yes, this is what legislation is about. That you go to your community and engage, and not sit in one air-conditioned office and people are coming to beg you for scraps. It is for that you go and engage with that the young people should come around to your house and you mentor them. I saw all of that, in that film. I think that for me, I walked away, feeling that yes, perhaps, the film, in terms of, delivering us from, the fork in the road that we are at now, perhaps the movie would do, and that there are more and more people should write to, should write their own experiences that can be captured, in movies. There's quite a number of Nollywood movies that are written as political thrillers, but they don't have the level of knowingness that this movie has. Exciting work, very aspirational material, but these people were never politicians. So they don't know what, Dr. Okediran knew. That front seat, that front row is one of the things that puts this above. I've seen a lot of, movies that I think, King of Boys, for example. All of that there are quite a number of the Nollywood, the standard Nollywood. He's not Nollywood, he's basically brought his, his political skill set to this. And, even though he says that they told him not to say, but his own book has already provided the material that Tunde Babalola, uses fresh. Finally, I think it is hopeless that you let that kind of hero die. I mean, that just by, by
We don't know if the hero died.
I mean, to shoot for why? What's the point? Yeah, what's the point? The thing is, it just takes away the hope. That I mean, there should be. One of the earliest films that place that I saw in Lagos, was something called Jankariwo by Bentomology. There was all kinds of challenges about the politics of the time. But, there was a deliberate raising of a new, human being. And that was celebrated at the end. There has to be some kind of hope out of what we are. This is, and to consider a film that was shot in 2018, 2019, and basically snuffing the life of somebody who is delivering, oh, come on. It's so disappointing. Anyway,
Well,
that's what I have to say.
okay.
There are any questions,
Mr.
because
Toyin Akinoso,
Professor Mabel will come and will do,
I
more justice to this, and she's the smartest, scholar in this area that I know of. So
you're
let me
right.
take myself out of this equation. But that's the point of view of a regular cultural consumer. Let me just put it like that, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I really love your perspective to this. Why should at least that hero be shot? I don't know. Before we go ahead, let me welcome the lead actor, Mr. Yakub Muhammad himself, the actor who played the role of Samuel Bakura in the movie. You're welcome. Oh, you're in the car.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So
Good
sorry
afternoon.
to late. Yeah, I joined you late. I'm actually on set filming.
Okay.
So sorry. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Let me let him know that he's an amazing actor. Let me just say that he's that sort of level-headed, even actor that's not used to gesturing, and you don't have to scream and all that.
Thank you.
Make a point.
Before we go ahead to Professor Mabel and even Yakub Muhammad, I want to just play the trailer for the benefit of those who are not, who haven't seen the movie trailer, and also to quickly welcome former presidents of the Association of Nigerian Authors, who are also colleagues of Dr. Wale Okediran, who is also a former president. Professor Femi Oshofison is the former president of the Association of Nigerian Authors. He's here with us. Malam Denja Abdullahi is also a former president of the Association of Nigerian Authors. You're welcome, sirs. From Makerere University, we have Dr. Mercy Ntangare. Mercy is a theater critic and a lecturer in Makerere University, and she's already engaging. If you look at the chat, Dr. Mercy she's an associate professor of theater, and she's asking a question. But quickly, before we even go to answering the question, let me share my screen and let you into Tenant of the house so that you can.
I, Samuel Bakura, representing Kaduna South, hereby swear to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
Why do they call him the Patriots?
Because when he first joined the House, he was offered a position with the Lucrative Oil and Gas Commission. But he opted out of that and went for the Penniless Land Reforms Commission, rather.
Yeah, me dawo da kai.
Abin da ya kawo wato maganan land dispute nan ne wallahi.
Ko sati biyu da ya wuce sun yi gagarumar hatsaniya. Mutane da dama sun jikkata.
I didn't know you were coming.
Neither did I.
All the same, it's a delight to have you here.
Hi, Sam. You look very nice today. I saw your eyes piercing through me earlier.
You have been privileged to be included in the caucus. Your main role is to be the think tank in the Speaker's impeachment.
The stakes are high, Sam. We've got to strike against the Speaker imminently.
Samuel, I can't compete dollar for dollar with those who seek my downfall. But I'm hoping I can appeal to your intelligence and conscience in doing the right thing.
The cabal doesn't hold prisoners. The most prized currency in politics is loyalty.
I have the Senate on lockdown, but the House of Reps is full of dissidents.
Who are those boys?
Gidaru, my husband to be.
This is a democracy that was hard fought for. Will stand strong and not allow any person, regardless of power or status, to truncate it.
And I vouch for you, Sam. I called you my brother, which is why he gave you privileged access to our resources and our secrets.
Where is Samuel Bakura?
We have the figures. What are we waiting for?
Stop it! With all your assets and assets.
Do you know what your problem is, Zata? Despite being the speaker, you have no clue whatsoever when it comes to politics.
And that is why I'm reaching out to you, dear Elizabeth. Is there a soft landing?
Okay.
I, Samuel Bakura.
So that's the. Did you all get that? That's the movie Tenant of the House. So let me quickly go. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So let me quickly go straight to Professor Mabel. Let's hear from her what she thinks about the movie, and if she can, in her conversation, tell us what, if you have a response to what Dr. Mercy Ntangari has asked in the chat box, what could be the key characteristics of a Nollywood film? And would I be right to describe it as an African content and technique? I don't know if you have anything to respond to that.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I have fathers and elders in the house. I greet Dr. Wale Okediran'S, who gave me the chance to be here. But I also want to recognize some of the names already mentioned by the moderator in the person of Professor Shofison, architect Nimo Basi, and Denja Abdullahi. I didn't want to have my video on because of the bandwidth, and secondly, because I was going to read from a prepared script.
Okay.
Be that as it may, in response to my colleague's question from Uganda, I think, I would want to say that a typical Nollywood film is usually rich in local content, in African content, in the mores, the norms of Africa, especially in the use of language, either when they are subtitled from English to the local language or from the local language to English. The use of costumes, even the setting also display the rich African content. Furthermore, the Nollywood film is also Nigeria's means of writing back, to the colonial film structure or the inherited film structure in terms of sequence, in terms of story, in terms of cultural, content, among other factors. So Nollywood, whether you want to refer to it as old Nollywood or new Nollywood, has become globalized to the extent that we see films from Nigeria as projecting Africa using the Nigerian format, some of which I have already mentioned. I would like to commence this discussion by responding also to my big brother Toyin Akinoso's, dismay at the ending of the film. Afolayan is seen as an auteur film director, that individualistic director who wants to stamp his imprint on the film, so that sometimes rather than read the script as authored by the screenwriter or the screenwrite, you see instead the film director, stamping his authority on the film and telling you to go to hell and do whatever you may. Secondly, it's also a form of taxation of his expertise, because in that ending, I'm not dismayed by the ending. The ending provides opportunities for sequel, and any of the characters could, engage in the advancement or the extension of the frontiers of tenants of the house, especially John. John could be made to fall in love with Batijo. We could have a revisit of the conflict issue. The director may decide to take it from there. But let me go on to, what I penned down for that purpose. I said, in giving the novel life, the auteur director also distorts the novel by ending Bakura's life. This is no spoiler for me. There are many reasons for this to have happened: to cut short the plot, to alter the point of view and reduce the options for continuity. Like I said, to impose himself on the text so that we read Afolayan in the film rather than read Okediran. And then we question the loyalty of the dual citizen in politics. Okay? Lucy Bako is not a full Nigerian citizen. She is one of such that we have in the polity who, have the advantage or the disadvantage of being a dual citizen. And so Afolayan could have done that to tell us, have a rethink before you elect people who have dual citizenship into the parliament. And then maybe Afolayan lacks sensitivity for, cross-cultural marriage. And then you may also be afraid of the audience backlash. Why would you allow a Christian Northern Gbagi Bakura to marry a Fulani Muslim Batijo? And then he may also want to placate the Zakuris, the Gbagi people of Batijo's people. And then a hothead may even ask, did Bakura really die in the film? Did we see him being buried?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we lost your audio momentarily.
Yes. Okay. Did Bakura really die? Did we see him being buried? Who performed the autopsy? And then maybe he also wanted to uphold Lizzie's vengeance. Because hell has no fury like a woman scorned, okay? Bakura scorned the love advances of Lizzie Bakura when their relationship went sour. And so he may want to, uphold that woman's point of view. Maybe he was also afraid. He didn't have enough courage to resolve the political problems by the people. Maybe a revolt of the proletariat, or to upturn the class distinctions and give people power in the film, because the people watched what transpired on TV. Therefore, how do we solve some of these issues? The auteur director could explore some of these loopholes in the ending and give us a very beautiful sequel that would be a flashback and a flash forward, using camera language to now pick on the loose ends in the film by making John, go to require from Batijo's people the debt that, his brother already paid at the Sharo festival. Those lashes were no joke, okay? Okediran and Afolayan would have to discuss this. Or else, people like Brother Akinoso may want to write, a strongly worded, criticism of the film by asking what he asked. We had a character who gave us hope. We had a character who pointed to the way that we should go. Why do that to him in uncertain, hazy, and unclear manner? Okay, that is that. Furthermore, the film tries to, expose the Weltanshong of Nigerian politicians and what they have to offer the people, which is usually nothing much. As we say in Nigerian parlance, most of the time they try to serve us yesterday's meal in partially washed dishes, and you wonder what you want to save yourself from contamination or a poorly served diet. That is an angle. As an adaptation, the open-endedness in the novel could also be, used to explain how the filmmaker can either extinguish opportunities or try to give opportunities life. There are certain theories we could use to back the film. There's cultural studies, there's psychoanalytical theory or psychoanalysis, there's feminism, and there's also political criticism and cultural studies. However, what traps the reader of the film is the psychoanalytic power of the film. How the dreams, the unconscious moments of Bakura in childhood managed to chart a path for him up to the highest point of his career. And in the dreams, in the things he didn't say, in the silences, we see that the recalls, the flashbacks highlight his fears, his needs, and even near hysteria in trying to resolve the land dispute between the herders and the farmers, between the Fulani pastoralists and the Gbagi farmers, okay? And we also note that this dispute claimed his father, claimed the head of his household. From the feminist angle, women's rise in the political space is riddled by a lot of infamy, through sex, money politics, corruption, and what have you. Nevertheless, the film also helps us to question the male gaze. It helps us to question, you know, why the reader of the film would have to want to align with the so-called polished and educated women who are in parliament and not the rustic, rural, uncorrupted Batijo, okay? And of course, the central figure, Batijo, is also used to project the feminist impulse in his connection to his mother, the partial connection to Lizzie, and then the truncated connection with Batijo. People have talked about political criticism in terms of the conflict, religious, ethnic, political, cultural, class conflicts in the play. However, the issue of gang violence, not just in the town, but in the village, in terms of Gidado and his peers, should also be looked into. As a cultural product, when we refer this to cultural studies, we see that the different social classes in the film are able to rub off on one another. And we now see this film, Tenants of the House, as a popular art, as a popular culture product that Wale Okediran, in conjunction with Kunle Afolayan, have been able to use to interrogate the goings-on in the Nigerian society. In the film, there are some dual readings: male, female, rural, urban, upper class, lower class, farmer, herder. You know, these binaries further push the frontiers of the film. There are many themes in the film. The main is that we see film as an agency of power. We may come back to the themes later, but I want to talk about the technical issues, okay, the use of camera language in the film. The rolling tires at the beginning of the film clearly tell us that politics in Nigeria rolls on power, rolls on money, rolls on sex. In fact, without these elements, politics in Nigeria may be very dull, to the extent that many won't want to aspire to be politicians. Lizzie Bello, the Merry Widow, may, you know, using psychoanalysis, may have wanted to create another widow like herself by, you know, truncating that relationship within, between Bakura and Batijo. The use of suspense, the way the camera pans, and of course, most of the film relays medium shots. I would like to ask the filmmaker why he utilized medium shots and close-ups for most parts of the film. You hardly find long shots in the film, and where the shots showed the ground level up to the sky level, it's usually, you know, reflecting the rural areas or the commoners, the herders, okay? And for me, this communicates class structure, the divide between rural, urban, rich, poor, educated, illiterate. I like the use of incidental music in the film, okay? The use of recall, flashback is also very good. However, Mr. Afolayan, why did you shift the plot, the film diegesis, okay, to the present? This incident must have happened in the era before this current political dispensation. We see photographs of current political office holders. And for me, that could be, you know, anachronistic in terms of context. The sound montage is quite good. The high life music that also opens the film is interesting, where you use percussion music on the farm to heighten the pulse of the heart is also good. Traditional and modern music, or the use of music to separate the different parts of the film, is also commendable. In terms of culture or the use of names, okay, Samuel, sort of the Lord, John, the beloved one, Batijo. Batijo, I'm told, means laid back, you know, lazy, you know, achieving things without much effort. And I believe that paints a clear picture of Batijo for us. Like I said, Bidado is most loved, but do we really love Bidado from our reading of the film? So the film, in terms of culture, tries to connect generations. We see betrothal, learning of words, the lashes of vengeance, how culture could be administered, you know, or financed to bring about a turnaround in the society. Characterization.
Right, I hope we'll be rounding off soon because.
And so to round off, I would want to say that the film aesthetics, in terms of color, arrangement of the film setting, is one which could be worked on, okay? The setting for the sequel, like I said, could be a vengeance or a redress film as a corrective approach. I'll end by making some of my observations. The filmic copulation is too explicit. As a student, when we took the analysis of BC Daughter of the River, for example, the grinding of the engines were used to signify copulation. In this film, maybe a mortar and pestle or something symbolic could have been used to show that sequence of sex in the film. More effort should be made to draw many audience to the film, especially students of political science. We require more peace meetings. If there's a way to edit the film, that label of the vehicle dealer that the Zakuri community used to the parliament should be changed. I thought with this film, issues with subtitling will end. There are still some challenges in that area. And then attempts to be made to synchronize the subtitling with the voice. Thank you for using the camera to make the characters we read about in the novel to walk before us with background music and with the auteur influence of the filmmaker. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Is real insightful, you know, real in-depth work you've done on the movie Tenant of the House. One other thing was that there was an emphasis on the title of the movie becoming Tenant of the House, as opposed to the book Tenants of the House. I don't know if Dr. Wale Okediran will shed more light on that later, because we are seeing some changes. Before...
Please, can I comment? Please, could I ask for the name of the lady that just made the presentation, please?
That's Professor Mabel Eweroma.
Okay, Professor Mabel. Okay, yes. I'll get her contacts from Dr. Okediran. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Great. Please, if you have questions and comments, you can still be putting them in the chat box, as some participants have already done. Toyin Akinoso say Gidado is a bad man. Gidado was played by the comedian that we all know, and he was a very strong character also in the movie. All right. So we've heard about how the issues of gang violence and all of that have been portrayed in the book. Hey, which one of my panelists has not spoken? Which one of my... Okay. Yeah, Steve Shaba is here, publisher, is with us. Dr. Joan Oji is here. She's an editor and translator into different languages. There are a number of people I can't mention and I can't acknowledge all here. However, let me go back to Dr. Okediran, or no, Mrs. Nwuka, before you leave, did you have any challenge with the fact that this book was dealing with quite a challenging, a topic that can easily be misconstrued? Did the Bank of Industry feel apprehensive about any part of this subject? You know, we had the issue of the sex scene that has been mentioned, the whole farmer header clashes. Did you at any point feel apprehensive that if we fund this, there could be some backlash on the as a government institution, as a development bank owned by the government?
Yes, thank you very much. We did. That was why we actually recommended Kunle Afolayan to direct the film, being a member of the advisory team put in place by Bank of Industry. So it was clear to him, ab initio, about what we wanted, and based on also the advice from the team, we guided the presentation or the interpretation of the story.
Okay. Well, that's great. Okay, there's also a question for you in the chat box from Mr. Akinoso. He says, for that you are reviewing the performance of most of the films you have funded. How many are these films, and performance in what area? What are the areas, you know, that you've really focused on?
We're looking at the repayment ability.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Performance, clearly performance in terms of liquidating or paying back the loan.
There are no no-go areas, like no-go subjects that you won't fund?
I don't understand what you mean by that.
I mean, are there topics that you would not fund, either that your loan won't cover? Because just like you said, you had to guide the interpretation of this movie, Tenant of the House. Are there areas?
I'll start with the worst. We can't fund production of arms. We can't fund supporting of armed robbery. So when you present your synopsis, we review and advise accordingly. It's easier that way. But basically, we all know what can be funded.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. I hope you are still with us. Mrs. Nwuka, I hope you still be with us, because there are some questions I see people itching to
That was
ask.
why it was very easy for me to identify Professor Mabel. So I'm here.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. Somebody says, how can one apply for funds for a short movie from the BOI?
Like I mentioned earlier, my email address should be made available. Let's take this off from the email side. Let us know what you want to do. Short films for what purpose, how much do you need, what are your plans for marketing the films. But it's always easier to have a one-on-one conversation with us. So my email will be very vital. We'll respond and meet with the producer.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Mercy Ntangari is saying that in Uganda, some artists use films to promote books. Is this the case here, or is the writer intended to have the two products from the start? So this is the question that will directly go to Dr. Okediran himself. Even though he partially answered the question in that the book was published and had gone on its own, and but how has the sale of the books fared since after the production of the movie? Dr. Okediran.
Yeah, thank you, Diego. Thank you, Diego. As expected, the film has redirected some focus to the book. And in fact, in the last couple of weeks, I've got some requests from some academicians, particularly students. I mean, there's a few students from universities who said that they've been asked to write projects to compare the film and the book. And I find that very interesting. And then again, made some bookshops in town over the couple of last few weeks. I've been calling to ask for more orders for the book because people want to see what was actually in the book after seeing the film. And I think this brings us to the age-long and very interesting discussion on which medium is really better. Is it the book medium or the cinema medium? And I know that there's a lot of literature on this. People have compared so many books and films, Gone with the Wind, Dr. Zhivago, all these classics. Whether the books were better than the film. But for us and the publisher, there's a resurgence in interest to the book. And at this point, sorry, Diego, Yakub Muhammad has not spoken. And
yes,
sure.
I was looking for him and then I didn't see him in the timeline again. When I was asking which of my panelists had not spoken, it's because I couldn't find him again.
I see. Okay.
You know, he said he was on set.
I will try and call him.
Yes.
So that's my answer for now. Thank you.
Okay, there's also a follow-up question that people have asked. So someone is asking Mr. Additional, saying, are there plans to release the film in the near future on an over-the-top content platform like Netflix? I know that's yes.
Yes.
And also, are there plans to translate the film to other languages?
For online productions, we are already signed an agreement with Netflix on the streaming of the film. And I think this was a very good development for us. It made me, it has made me to be sleeping better now because I can pay back my loan. And even though a date has not been fixed for the streaming, but we know that that will be very soon. We're also going to look at other platforms. I just got a call today from the US about the possibility of using other platforms. In fact, the fellow gave me a very interesting insight. He said these days, even before the COVID pandemic, cinema going at the rate, the tradition of people go to the cinema had gone down substantially. And then again, because the younger generation prefer to use their mobile phones to watch films instead of going to the cinema houses. He gave me an analysis that in the US, it costs you about $20 to buy a ticket for a film. Then you buy some refreshment. And if you are on a date, you're going out with your boyfriend or girlfriend, that's about ×2. That's about $80. but that a young American would prefer to subscribe to an online medium for maybe $10 in a month, and in the comfort of his home or her home, watch the film, just to show that the direction now is shifting from cinema to the online medium, and we want to tap into this. On the possibility of translating the book into other languages, yes, there have been some requests, but again, this has to be done in conjunction with the publisher, because we have a contract that says that any new production of the book has to be done in agreement with laid down principles. Thank you.
All right. A question is here for Bank of Industry that Mr. Akinoso says, I realized that Dr. Okediran didn't even know that you could recoup investment by product advertising inside the movie. Couldn't the Bank of Industry have advised on this early? That's a question for Mrs. Nwuka.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll say yes, Bank of Industry did.
Okay.
And a second one, from any producer, you're supposed to present to Bank of Industry how you intend to recoup or raise all the opportunities available of recouping the investment you've made in the content. So that should first of all come from the producer.
Okay. Okay.
However, in line with our advisory services, we make this available. And that was, we tried it out. That was why we also referred Dr. Okediran to Kunle, who has strong strengths in this line. However, you don't expect the director to be the one going after any organization. The producer should be able to build customer base and relationships outside to be able to tap into this source of revenue generation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. There's also a question.
Sorry, I'll add this. It was a learning. Sorry, I'll add this.
Yeah.
It was a learning curve for Dr. Okediran. That's his first production. Actually, with this, he went through school, through Bank of Industry, through relationship with other people in the industry, and through Kunle Afolayan. So a lot of learning curves.
Yeah.
So we believe that the next production will be better prepared for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
And probably he's going to be the one to take on the work. Dr. Joan Oji is asking that her debut novel, Hat Trick, published in 2009, is said to be a good story for adaptation into a movie, but she doesn't have money and she doesn't know who to partner with. So maybe Dr. Okediran, as an executive producer of Tenant of the House, would partner with you and approach the Bank of Industry. Who knows? Okay. Are there more questions?
However, I can also add to this before she thinks that you must go through somebody to Bank of Industry. She can come to Bank of Industry directly without going through anybody. Okay. Have a conversation with us. We can then advise and make suggestions available for her to take decision on. We didn't just recommend Kunle. We had other names, but we strongly advise on who to run with. So that's how it is for Bank of Industry.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Mercy Tangare has also had quite some interest in Nollywood. I don't know if she has seen this movie and would like to make a comment on the conversation so far. As I said earlier, she's from the Makerere University in Uganda, and she has been collaborating. She's a professor of theater, an associate professor of theater. Hello, Dr. Mercy.
Hi, Diego.
Yes.
Happy to see you.
Happy to see you.
And of course, my friend Wale, congratulations once again thanks to the panelists. I really learned a lot. I have not read the book, but now I have. I think I'm very keen to see the book and read it.
I think I should take my copy from the shelf.
Just show me the cover. As he brings the cover, I'm intrigued by, oh, that is very, very fine. That looks very, very enticing with a color which gives energy, orange.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was interested actually in this discussion, knowing that at my department, we do film, yes, but we also do theater. So I was actually looking for the close relationships we have. And of course, knowing that these days we cannot even have theater much, as I think we are beginning to have the films run, not necessarily in the cinemas. For us, we are still under lockdown. But at least on YouTube, people can watch the films. So thank you very much, and congratulations, Mebo. That was a very, very good analysis. I've picked quite a lot. And I'm keen to listen to Mohammed. I think everybody is saying Mohammed hasn't spoken.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mohammed is, of course, the lead actor who played Honorable Samuel Bakura. And one of the questions I wanted to ask him is how his research was to play the role of a Christian, even though he in real life he's a Muslim. I know as a good actor you can, but I wanted to try to see how he has, what did he do to understand Christianity better and play that role so fluently? And what has it been like? But now we don't have him here. Please, any other person who wants to say anything? We have a few more minutes before we close. Professor Shofison, sir, you're a professor of theater yourself, and I don't know what you think about the movie Tenant of the House. Would you say you prefer the book to the movie or vice versa? Hello, Professor Shofison.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I was just saying that I haven't actually seen the movie yet, so I won't be able to make any comment on that. But I mean, the conversation really has obviously stirred up interest more. Go and see the film as soon as I can. That's all.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof. For those who have not seen the movie, I want to just share the time when it's going to, well, it's on your screen now. Yes, you can see the schedule. Okay. I'm going to. All right. Dr. Okediran, I think I'll share the schedule in the chat box for people to download them as a file, download it as a file.
Not every.
Hello, Dr. Okediran.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Moderator. Okay. No,
yes.
Not every.
Yes.
That schedule is not cast in stone.
Okay.
In Lagos, there are quite a number of places that the movie is not being shown, and yet they are on the list. In my own neighborhood, there were a few places where they weren't being shown, and I went somewhere. So I wanted to, yes.
Okay, that's it's good to know because I haven't gone to the cinema myself. Dr. Daniel Ayo, you have raised your hand. Please could you unmute and make your contribution?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's nice to be
afternoon.
here. Well, I want to congratulate Dr. Okediran for brilliant work and then the film as well. I just want to chip in about the concept of the movie and the book. I was hoping I'll hear more of that debate, the translation between book and movie. In general, I prefer books. Okay, now this is personal. I will give my own reason because it leaves a lot to my imagination. Let's take, for example, the girl that played the Fulani girl. Quite beautiful, I must admit. But when you live, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, so some other people might not see her as beautiful in that respect enough to make the young man go, thunderbolted, or over. So, but with the book, each person will interpret beauty in his own mind and then conjure the adequate method. Now, I want to compare. I had that same experience with Godfather. When I read Godfather, those of you who might have read The Godfather, there was a case where somebody fell in love and he saw a girl and then he couldn't, and all he could do was just dream about her. I read the book and I was wild to me. But when I watched the movie, and I said, is this the girl that's making this person go crazy? Now, to other people, that might be the epitome of beauty. But because that's not my concept of beauty, it won't have the same effect. So similarly, when some scenes about when he was making calls, the state of mind and his behavior, when you're reading, if you're imaginative, you conjure up some kind of feeling, and especially when you get to the book. But when you're seeing the movie, you're not thinking about it, you're just seeing it, and then it's easier to drift off and then see it as ordinary. So when I read a book in general, it kind of stamps longer in my memory, and that's longer. But having said all that, this particular production was wonderful. I mean, he kind of managed to capture my interest throughout. And normally in films, I'll drift up, I can't think about anything else compared to when I'm reading a book. Then finally, the last part, why was the guy shot? Well, I think I like the idea in a way because, one, he was not a perfect human being. I mean, somebody was in love with a girl, he came and snatched the girl, okay? And so, as good as he was patriotic, but as a human being, he had his own weakness too, because if he was a saint, he probably would just said left the girl. But then we saw him at the end also considering that he was going to give up the girl for the man. I mean, so long as the man let him go to school, something like that. Okay, so I like that part, that play. Okay, and then finally, I think that's already mentioned. We are not actually sure whether he died. It was left to our imagination. That leaves room for part 2. I hope you won't go to part 6 like there's some of those movies that but that leaves room for a part 2. Maybe be taken to hospital and they say eventually he didn't die, and then you can continue from there. All said and done, I think it was a very good presentation. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Ayo. I'm a chemical engineer, but I'm passionate about the arts.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Right.
And just like the medical doctor, who's the author of the book and now executive producer of the movie. I don't know if Dr. Nimo Bassi, who is an architect and environmentalist, wants to make any intervention, because again, it's what I saw in the book, in the movie, there were, I don't know if you see some environmental issues in there, but not necessarily, not to box you in, sir. Hello, Mr. Nimo Bassi.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this great event today. I truly enjoyed all the comments and analysis made. My intention actually is just to be a silent listener. We'll discuss the environment and the book and other issues on another day. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Wale, and to all these panelists. And let me also say good afternoon to Professor Shofisa. I haven't seen him for a very long time.
Thank you.
All right, somebody has a hand up. Yes, and I was going to call him just now. Madam Denja Abdullahi, President, immediate past President of the Association of Nigerian Authors. You have the floor, sir. Hello, Madam Denja. It's very faint. The voice is very faint. Please, could you take the mic closer? Hello? No, it's still faint. Can you all hear him, or is it from my end?
It's faint.
Yes, really faint. Okay, maybe you should unplug the. Could you unplug the headset and see if we can hear you straight from the device? No, it's still faint. Okay, so sorry about that. All right, so we're getting to the last part of the program. For those who have not seen it, I think I'll just, even though we agree there are some errors in the hey, I want to share that PowerPoint again. This is what I wanted to share. Okay. Yeah, so it's on your screen, the different locations where the movie will be showing, at least this week, for those who are in Nigeria. So the cities are on the left-hand side. We've got in Ibadan, Ijebu, in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, at Blue Picture Cinema, Platinum Cinema. So you have in Ikeja, if you're in Abuja, Jabi, the Secretariat. Those are at the Silverbed Galleria. There is film show going on in Uyo. It's also there in Kano. So I'm going to put this in the chat box, and you can download it, and you find the times in your cities. And you know, let's hear. The hashtag being used online is hashtag TOT the movie. So again, you can take pictures at the cinema, share your views, let everybody know about it. So let me go around my panelists quickly, just before, if you have some, final words on the book Tenant of the House before I get to Dr. Okediran for the closing. So, Dr. Tope Olaifa, let me start with you.
Thank you very much. I want to say that this discussion has brought a lot of issues up, and it has actually resolved a lot of issues. Yes, because I was one of those that were opposed to painting tragedy with death. Yes. I think that used to be the Shakespearean way, and a lot of modifications have come into drama and all that. That we know that tragedy could be painted without shedding blood. In fact, a good director would handle tragedy in a way that the emotional, perhaps outburst or emotional implosion can actually paints tragedy more tragically than death. So these are issues that I had with the film, but another light has been shown, has been shed onto that, well, it's cool. Since we do not know if that person actually died, well, it could provide an opportunity for a sequel, which I think we should begin to think about now.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Tope Olaifa. And then that agrees with what Professor Mabel Veroma said. So, Professor Mabel, any final words?
Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to speak. I want to say that the only words I have for film producers is that they should encourage very young artists and make their works into short films, and then investigate the school syllabus and try to get set texts for the junior WASC and the senior WASC and other examinations, so that candidates have it very easy to relate with some of these literary texts. And also, creativity cannot be hindered, and always the pen will be mightier than the sword. Therefore, we should continue to write, we should continue to make films, we should continue to occupy the creative space and have people explore or exploit the opportunities that these provide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And then Mr. Toyin Akinoso, any final words?
This movie has, improved my impression or my assumption or I'm looking for that particular language, that English word to describe. But filmmakers should look for something that actually can influence society, and this is the kind of movie that can actually influence. It's also a plus for the campaign for the book to movie thing. We've always lamented that, don't forget that we won the Nobel. We're one of the few countries in the world who've won the Nobel. I'm saying that Professor Beker's Nobel is a national thing. I'm claiming it as a national thing. So we have a lot of interesting literature, on the shelves, and filmmakers can take advantage. And this is one book, this particular, successful move, because this is a very good movie, really. At any level, at whatever level, it shows that there's a whole lot of things that Nigerian filmmakers can take advantage of with Nigerian literature. So there are two levels. At the level of making movies that tend to speak to the nation state idea, as our collective challenges as a people. This has shown that it is doable, and it has also shown that you can take a book and deliver a movie, quality movie out of the book. That's all I want to say here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we know also, probably some of us don't know, but today is the birthday of the man who put Nigeria and Africa on the, platform of the Nobel Prize for Literature. So before we go, I think we will have to say a proper happy birthday. And to do that, I'll bring in Dr. Wale Okediran, and then as part of the final words, we will take the happy birthday. Hello, Dr. Wale Okediran.
Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Diego. As you rightly said, this is a big coincidence because when we are putting this event together, we never knew that it will tally with the birthday of Professor Wale Soyinka, who is 87 years old today. And a lot of programs have been lined up to celebrate the event. I'm aware that some people are already in Abeokuta, where Prof will post some children to an event. And I know that there's another webinar going on around the same time in Lagos. And what we can do is to join every other writer all over the world to say a big birthday to Professor Soyinka and to wish him many happy returns of the day. As to those of you who are very close to Prof, you know, he doesn't like too much fanfare. In fact, he doesn't like his birthday being celebrated. This morning, I tried to put a call to him to wish him happy birthday, but I already told my wife that Prof would have put off his phone since midnight because he doesn't want to be disturbed. So, but I know that I will find opportunity to get at him and to wish him a happy birthday. And there are some things being lined up. Some prizes are being, somebody is arranging for something that is very good to honor Professor Soyinka. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. So once everything is out, the announcement will be made, and then it will be another wonderful thing to remember Professor Soyinka for. On behalf of the Pan-African Writers Association, of which I'm the Secretary General here in Accra, Ghana, I want to wish Professor Soyinka a happy 87th birthday. And my prayer is that he will be around for more years to come so that we can celebrate his 90th and, if possible, 100 years. Thank you, Diego.
All right, thank you. So on behalf of everyone, I'd like to really thank you all for making this webinar a success.
You don't allow me to do my closing remarks.
Oh, okay. I thought you had done that together. That's great. Go ahead, sir.
I will remove the Prof.
Okay.
So you can talk to.
Yes.
Yes.
So please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yes, I think it's only proper for me to thank all of you who have given us your time to be here today. I have apologies from Yakub Muhammad, the lead actor, who is driving and he thought he would have been able to arrive at his destination, but he got stuck up in a traffic and he couldn't join us. It would have been nice for him to tell us how he survived those flogging and all those things that happened to him. I was on the set, and I won't tell you whether the lashes hit him or not. I won't let you into the secret of filmmaking, since I'm now a very good student. I want to thank our friends from Ghana, the Vice President of the Ghana Writers Association, Madam Doris, who is here, Mercy from Uganda, my family and friends from the UK, who have been around since the beginning, and my wife is also somewhere there taking notes. I'm sure when I get home, she will ask me some questions. I'm sure at least I'm well dressed today. She won't complain about my dressing. That's the first complaint. I want to thank again Mrs. Umuka. I mean, I don't want to describe her. I don't want to get too emotional about her, but I'm writing my own memoirs about this book, about this film. And when I'm writing, when I write it, I think I have to devote a whole chapter to her because so many things she did that is so amazing. I mean, I went to Bank of Industry. I followed somebody to Bank of Industry just to listen to a conversation. About 2 hours after, I came back out of the place as a potential film producer. The transformation has been so fast. So I want to thank her. And over the years, because, you know, people gave me a lot of horrendous scenario about taking loan from the bank. Somebody told me that, you are in trouble. Tomorrow they will sell your house. You are in trouble. They will lock you up. You will do everything. At the point I was so scared, I said, well, I've entered this thing now. I can't go back. Even at the point, not all first called me and said, look, you better return their money. Return their money and go and sleep. But like I said, that all those scary stories about the bank, I've been well treated, and the support has been very tremendous. And somebody asked me a question. Well, I can say that now that we are in cinemas, and we also got a contract with Netflix and a few other producers on the way. We've done a few private screenings, and I think by and large, we have almost cleared our debt. And then when we clear it, then I will be able to sleep much better. But again, somebody asked me a question, are you going to do it again? And then I said, well, let me answer the way I'll use the scenario of a pregnant woman in labor. Yeah. You know, apologies to women, I'm a doctor. Sometimes when they're in labor, they will scream and say, no, after this, I'm not going back again. I'm not doing it again. Oh, this pain is too much. Some of them will even abuse their husbands. And we never, no, but 9 months after, they are back. So I think I'm going to. I think I've passed through my labor pains and I've delivered. So I think I'm ready for another one.
All right. Ready for another baby, yes. And
I want to encourage my friends. There are many of my friends. I mean, I like what Toyin said. Toyin Akinoso said that you have so many books that we can make into movies, and all it takes is determination. Well, all it takes, the first thing that it takes is that you must write a good book. You must have a good content that a filmmaker or a bank can be confident enough to help you push forward. And I'm saying this for my other colleagues, especially younger colleagues, who about their writing. We should spend more time to do research, to do more work on our writings, to show our works to experts, those who we believe in them, so that they can look at this for us, and also to have the humility to accept criticism and editorial works. I mean, I'm also like that. A typical writer is a very stubborn person. You don't want anybody to touch what you have written. I had that problem with my editors, but I'm happy I listened to them, and I was able to produce a content, a film content that was acceptable. Then, of course, determination and all that goes with it. And then I want to also encourage our bankers to continue to be supportive as much as possible. The panelists, I thank you for coming. Thank all the Diego, our man, who is always handling technicals. I want to thank you. I saw a question from Denja in the chat box. Is there a question there? I don't know whether it's for you or for me. Before we close, so that I don't know whether.
Great discussions. I particularly want to advocate that a special fund should be set up by the federal government or BOI to fund adaptation of iconic Nigerian literary texts into films. It should be a special project that can tap into earlier successful ventures of that nature. Okay.
That's good. I also thank the Abuja chapter of ANA. I can see the former chairperson, Leo Adams, Mr. Lee and Co. Thank you for keeping the home front while I'm on loan. I'm on loan to Africa in Accra here. I will come back home one day. I don't know whether it's 2 years, whether it's 10 years or 20 years. And then I've put Mrs. Unka's email address on the chat box for those of you who want to get across to her. Like she said, you don't need an intermediary to come to Bank of Industry. You can access them yourself. Thank you, and God bless you all.
All right, God bless. So I'll end the chat here, and we look forward to another opportunity where we'll continue to intersect, with these conversations.
Okay. Thank you very much. I made it to
the
end.
YouTube link. Anybody who wants to watch this on YouTube. Yes, you made it to the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, bye then. Okay.
All right.
Bye, all.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Bye.